Okay, we're up to factorisation today. Now, factorisation is opposite expanding, so we want to put it in brackets. So the first example says factorise this one here. So we'll look at the numbers first. This one's a number 8, and this one's 64. The number that goes into both 8 and 64 is number 8. So that's pretty done. Then look at the letters, x squared and x. Now remember, x squared just means it's an x times an x. So we can take out an x because it's in both. What are we left with? Well, we're left with x in the first one, and we can do that just by dividing the 8x squared by this factor that we've taken out if you have to, and then we've got plus 8. So that's that one there factorised. Example 2, factorise this one here. Again, look at the numbers, 3 and 12. Don't worry about the negative. 3 goes into both of them. Then look at the letters, a squared, ax squared. A belongs to both of them, so we can take that out, and we're left with a minus, now 4, 12 divided by 3 is 4. This a is gone, it doesn't exist anymore, and we still have the x squared. So we'll leave that one as it is. Example 3, factorising this one over here. Again, do it in stages. 6 and 30 are the numbers. 6 goes into both of them. X squared and x, well, this one, the first one's got 2 of the x's. The last one's got one of them, so we can only take out x. And then there's a y and y squared, so we can take out a y only. What have we left with in the first lot? First term, we're left with an x. There's nothing else. The minus is still there. In the second one, well, 30 divided by 6 gives me 5. The x is gone, and there's a y left. So that's that one factorised. Sometimes it's easier to group things so we can factorise. So I'm going to group things like this. Hopefully it works, and then I'll do this one together. So let's look at the first bracket. I'm not going to write them as separate, but the first bracket I can take out x squared from both, and I'm left with x plus 3. The second one, I will take out a negative 3 because I want the bracket to be the same. I want it to be the same as this one, which is x plus 3. So taking that out, it becomes a positive x, and it becomes a positive 3 in here. Now that the brackets are the same, I can take out that bracket as a factor from both of them. The easiest thing is just to say, write that bracket once, and then put the ones that are by themselves, which is the x squared minus 3 in a separate bracket. So that's that one there. There's a rule called the difference of two squares rule. That's if we've got a squared and another squared and a minus in between. Then we can just split them up like this, x plus a and y minus a. So this one here, first of all, I'm going to take out the 3 because the 3 belongs to both. And I'll get x squared minus 25. Okay, because 3 times 25 is 75. Then I'm going to change that 25. You don't need to do all these steps. I'm only showing you. 25 can be written as 5 squared. That's what 25 is. Now this is that rule. X squared minus a number squared. So straight away you can write two brackets. One's going to be the x plus the 5. Doesn't matter which one you write first. And the other one's going to be the x minus the 5. Example 6, the same thing. Factorising. Now, the first thing I would always aim for is take out that factor of 5, and I'll be left with x squared minus, now 125. Take to 125, that becomes 25. And again, 25 is just 5 squared, so I'll just change this, x squared minus 5 squared. Again, you don't need to do that line. I'm only doing it, and that is the rule. So x minus 5, x plus 5. Remember, it doesn't matter if you write x plus 5 first or x minus 5 first, so you're just multiplying. This is already squared, example 7, but this, the y is squared, but not the 4. So let's make the 4 squared. Sorry, not the 16. So let's square it, because 4 squared is 16. So we end up getting x minus y squared minus 4y. Now I'm not going to write 4 squared and y squared. I'm just going to put them in brackets and do that. So now we've got a difference, minus a difference of a squared and another squared, difference of two squares. So straight away we can put two brackets, x minus y. One can be a plus 4y, and then we have x minus y and the other one has to be minus the 4y. And now we should simplify that, because we can simplify the brackets. The x is there, minus y plus 4y just gives me plus 3y. And this one, the next bracket, will give me x minus 5y. So make sure you do that, please. Quadratic expressions. To factorize quadratic expressions, some of you use the cross method. If you can do it without the cross method, it's great, saves you a lot of time. Now, the way I do this, I say, right, I split this up. It's an x squared. I know I can put two brackets in here straight away. That x squared has to split up, x and x. And they say, right, two numbers that times together that give me -6. Okay, well, I can only think of 3 and 2. One of them has to be a negative. So if I do 3 times -2, I get the -6. If I add them, 3 plus -2, I get +1. I need it to be a -1 for that middle one. So let me change it. If I do -3 and +2, times them together gives me -6. Add them together gives me -1. So there's my brackets. -3 plus 2. You can do the FOIL method as some people, crossover method as some people do. -3 plus 2. Yeah. So there's your brackets there. It's up to you. Same thing here. Okay, it's up to you how you do it. I will try and do it by putting two brackets straight away and talking you through it. So the 3x squared, one's going to be a 3x, the other one's going to be an x. Okay, now remember, splitting the 8, 4 and 2. 4 and 2. One's got to be a negative. Has to be. Now, if I put the 4 with the 3, that becomes 12 if I multiply it. So if I make that a -4, that becomes -12. To get -10, I have to have a +2, and I do. So that's great. So this has to be -4 over here, because when I times it, it's going to be the -12. And this will be a +2 over here, because that becomes plus, and it gives me the -10. So there's my two brackets quite quickly. Again, you can do the FOIL. To factorize on the inside, go to Algebra and factorize, so you get the factor part coming up. Type it in again, put your times in between, this one and this one. Hit enter and it will factorize for you. And that's your 4B questions.